Hi, how are you and welcome? And it's really good to be with you. The sky's going to be really busy at the moment, and it's all about Scorpio. And we're moving on from our desires, and now we're going to be moving into something a little bit different. But I want to just go back to that discussion that we had earlier about Scorpio and this being the time for us to be really thinking about our desires and what we deeply desire. One of the things about being honest about what we truly desire is accepting that wrapped around what we truly desire might also be levels of fear. Fear that we're not good enough to have it, fear that we'll never achieve it, fear that if we do get it, it'll change our life and maybe it's really not what we want anyway. So there's actually elements of deep fear associated with I desire, because I desire is really trusting yourself, really being very honest and truthful with yourself, and really being prepared to go for something in a really big way. But sometimes we're hesitant to go for what we really, really want because of all these elements of fear. And I just wanted to talk to you also that could be what's starting to come up is fear. And because we're not comfortable with fear, what also could be coming up attached to that might very well be these negative emotions of anger and resentment and a whole load of other stuff that could be coming through. And the reason that I'm saying that is because it is the time. So Scorpio is about digging deep and getting to the understanding, but it's also Scorpio season is when the veil between the two worlds, the spirit world and the physical world, is at its thinnest. That's what Halloween is actually all about, or Hallowed Nights. And so what this is about is also getting deep into what it is that really is holding us back from achieving our desire. So I hope you've had a chance to explore desire and get comfortable with it. I hope you've taken the advice from the tarot and just taken some time out to get really comfortable with that and looking at it from all sorts of areas and responses. Because if you decide to go for it, and you can go for it, but it's going to be one hell of a journey. And I don't use hell lightly. So let's have a look at that. The true meaning of this new moon that's going to be happening in Scorpio on the 27th, and also this is about the time when the sun really has moved into the constellation of Scorpio. So it's really at its zenith. This is a fabulous time, but it's all about Phoenix rising, sign of renewal, which is really the house of Scorpio. Scorpio is all about eclipsing the old and moving into the new. But it's also a timing, and this has got to do with other stuff that's been around for a while. When I say stuff, I'm talking about planetary transgressions. It's also a time when we are starting a new phase or new circle. And people have talked about it being 10 years, 9 years, 11 years. It depends on the practice of how you're reading the astrology. But we're definitely heading into a major new cycle. And this is why we've had so much work on, for those who are choosing to do it, on cleansing and renewal. And with Scorpio, we're talking about going deep dive and really going in and understanding those hidden elements of us and bringing them into the fore. So what we're looking at is really a big reset button. So there's going to be some major impacts. So this new moon in Scorpio is a great opportunity for us to really start a new phase of our life and in a really positive way, and to go for something that we haven't gone for before, but we really want to achieve. And look, and maybe we haven't gone for it because we think it's too egotistical, because we've been told don't aim for that, you're never going to make it. Maybe it's a little bit left field. It doesn't matter. Now's the time for us to be really thinking about, if you like, going for that impossible desire. going for something that we think is out of reach because they're asking us to reach for it. Now, the other thing I want to just give you about this spiritual path and moving forward and going for desire is it's a path. So it's all about the journey. It's not about the end result. So sometimes on the spiritual path, you need to embrace the experiences you achieve on the path and release your attachment to the outcome. Because as we're going along this path, we are moving and growing. So while we might have put some definition around what we really desire, well, I've hoped you've put some definition around it. Please don't have big things like I desire to be happy, because it's so big that the spirits and the energy, they don't know how to give that to you, and they don't know how to deliver that to you. So it's kind of like a bit of a guess. Manifesting, you need to be very specific about what you want to achieve. And remember that manifestation, it's the first step, and then you start again, it's the next step. And as you achieve it, and we go on our path, and we change, and we achieve something, our perspective of what is coming next usually changes as well, because we have a different view of what our life is and what our life can be. And we also have a different starting point. And that's some of the stuff that we've really got to get our head around. Is it's not this lovely linear shoot the arrow, let's go there. It's a path of exploring, and your guides and your spirits, they have the best intention for you, but sometimes the best intention means that you have to deal with the shit, even if you don't really want to deal with it. And sometimes it isn't always yours. It's not something perhaps that is yours in this lifetime. It might have come down through the DNA. It might have come down through other experiences. But it is in this lifetime, that you're choosing to deal with it, or you're choosing to take the opportunity to deal with it, because the opportunity now is really there, because spirits really want us to clear out so we can make the most of the next 10 years. And that's something really, really exciting. So Uranus, which is also Kali and Phoenix rising and the sign of renewal, but remember the sign of renewal is ending. So the new moon is all about renewal and moving into something brand new. Uranus is definitely pushing us to go into something new. And Uranus and the moon are going to be in a really strong opposition. And that's going to be something else as well. So it's going to be really triggered by the planet of huge surprises, take no prisoners, let's go with a new adventure, and let's leave what we don't need behind. That's Uranus. It's going to be triggering the new moon in Scorpio, which is all about let's go on the new, and let's be the Phoenix rising. And of course, to be renewal, to be Phoenix rising, you've got to have a death. And remember, the death in the tarot as well, for those who are watching it, it's not about, it's about rebirth, but it's also about leaving something behind and moving on, or reframing it. The tower is a dead cut leaving behind, but death is gently. Let's progress this. Let's leave the old, but reshape it. Take what we need with us and move forward. And so it's a little bit like death and renewal, not so much about the tower. So this is new cycle, long path, moving forward, getting our desire settled. And going into and exploring desire openly can be quite surprising about what you truly want, and then what is it that's blocking you from getting there. So that's interesting. Now, the moon is actually ruled by Pluto and Mars, and Pluto, which is the god of the underworld, so the god of things that lie beneath, and Mars, which is the god of war, they're being triggered by Saturn. And Saturn is all about working hard to achieve what we want and really pushing us. So there's no short wonder that during this period of time you're going to have this sense of understanding. There's going to be a need to release some stuff. You're going to have some stuff coming up that you're not really going to want to touch, perhaps. but you're going to have to go there. And I've seen in myself and with other people, seeing them dealing with some really ugly emotions. And when I say dealing with ugly emotions, they haven't been acting out these ugly emotions. It's anger, it's resentment, it's really just been really not pleasant. And these are not angry people, and these are not people acting out the anger, but this is stuff that has happened in the past. It's been buried rather than dealt with it, because anger and resentment and those negative emotions, they're really draining to work with, but we have to work with them, because anything that you don't work with, all it does is condense, and then it gets into a little ball, and eventually that ball has got to go somewhere, that energy. And we've got to acknowledge it. So don't be afraid to say, I'm having these feelings of anger or resentment or turmoil or enormous feelings that are negative. I don't know where they're coming from, but this is what I'm experiencing. You got to speak about loud, because naming stuff is really important. Because once you name it, you can work with it and you can release it. So don't be surprised if we're part of the new moon. You can't move into the new unless you're prepared to deal with the old. We're not babies anymore that are being born. We've got a life behind us. We've got a life in front of us. And we've got this stuff that we need to be sorting through. So take a big girl pill, grow some, whatever you need to do, but get strong, have some backbone, and don't be afraid to go in and look at it and name it. And if you're having difficulty with it, get some help with someone to help you through that. Okay, so that's happening on the 27th. Now, 4 days later, on the 31st, Mercury is going to go into retrograde. It means it's already in the shadow now. And that just means it's that you're getting insight, you're getting some vision of it, but it really hasn't happened yet. And Mercury in Scorpio going retrograde is going to be conjunct on the 31st at 0 degrees with Venus and Jupiter. Now, Venus is about what we value and what we love, but remember, love is also value. It's not just a more, it's bigger than that. And Jupiter is about abundance. So we're at 0 degrees of Mercury. Mercury is about communication, and it's about the God. But remember, the God of communication could go between both worlds, the underworld and the above world. So what have we got? We've got this 0 degrees of abundance. So this is this great opportunity where Mercury is not going to be pushing anything forwards just yet, because it's going to go into the retrograde. And it's at 0 degrees, so it's not a time of commitment, but it's definitely a time when we're ending and we're beginning. So Mercury and this whole sense of communication and looking at how we represent ourselves and how we speak our truth and how we enable ourselves and messages that are coming through is going to be in neutral, which is kind of nice given everything else that's around us. So what neutral does is it's actually going to allow you, without having any heavy endorsement of emotion one way or the other, to be able to speak your truth. And this is a wonderful healing time for us when you can speak your truth. And it's a little bit exploratory because it's going to allow you to also have a look at things from a whole different range of perspectives. So it's going to allow you to be a lot more comfortable with naming anything that you have that's limiting you, that makes you feel uncomfortable. And the thing about desire is most of us are not comfortable with desire. We've been told that desire is wrong. You remember poor Eve, she had desire, and she's been blamed for the problems of the world for the last 2,000 plus years. So, and that's been desire. So it's not a dirty word. It's actually true longing, and it's in depth. Of course, desire, when it's tagged with too much passion, and it's not coming from a depth, it's just coming from a fantasy or a want that just popped into her head. So it's a little bit flirty. It doesn't have that strong sense of passion attached to it. Yeah, of course, that's going to lead us into trouble. We've all got into trouble with a night or an impulse of desire, haven't we? So what this is actually saying to you, you've got the time, you've got the space to reflect on this new design, this new path you have. And look, it's the beginning of a new 10-year phase. So we've got lots of time to enact it. So now let's just get really comfortable with it and see if we can create the dialogue and the words around it. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes when we want something so badly, we feel we can't speak about it. When we can't speak about it, we don't have the words, we don't have the dialogue that comes easily to be able to verbalize it. And when we don't have the dialogue and the ease to verbalize it, we make mistakes in communicating it even to ourselves, let alone to other people. And that's where it gets misinterpreted. So there's a lot happening with the Scorpio new moon, but it's all good. It's all good. And if you've done already some hard work and some cleansing, then you're going to see it starting to manifest and come into being. And you're going to start to see the signs of it already, and that is absolutely fabulous. Retrogrades are just do-overs. It's just giving us the opportunity to reflect on something and understand it fully and look at it from all of these different perspectives. And that's the glory of a retrograde. So just embrace this time, this wonderful 0 degrees retrograde, which is looking at what we value and how we determine abundance. And remember, that is full-on desire. And allowing us to get comfortable with it and to understand it, and then to be able to verbalize it, and verbalize it in such a way that we understand it, and the people we are verbalizing it to, whether that's spirit guides, people of this physical world, also get it. So it's a great time, and we're ready for this. We are so ready for this. Don't be afraid of negative emotions that you're getting, signals that you need to deal with. Just name it, be honest about it, and deal it, and you'll find the fear will completely disappear from it. All right. It is a fabulous time. It's a really fabulous time for us to grow and understand ourselves and little deep, murky bits that we don't always want to embrace, to understand that and to bring what is hidden up into the light, because the light is a beautiful cleanser and we all need light to grow. Okay. Cards coming up soon. See you soon. Bye-bye.